Canada's new government.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Woo!
Hey sisters, women, girls, check out what Canada's new government has been doing to you. Women across the country have been speaking out against the Harper government, from Yellowknife to Corner Brook, from Vancouver to Moncton, from Halifax to Quebec City. Women have organized rallies, letter writing and postcard campaigns, meetings and demonstrations. Women have written to newspapers, participated in talk shows, called, written and lobbied their federal and provincial MPs, set up websites and equality hotlines to get the message out. On January 18, 2006, just days before Stephen Harper was elected Prime Minister, he signed a pledge to support women's human rights. His exact words were, "I agree that Canada has more to do to meet its international obligations to women's equality. If elected, I will take concrete and immediate measures, as recommended by the United Nations, to ensure that Canada fully upholds its commitments to women." Despite his promises, Harper's Conservative government has put into place a number of measures that are rolling back women's rights across Canada.
Yeehaw!
The Harper government has conveniently declared that women in Canada are now equal. Therefore, the government has changed the mandate of the federal government agency that since the early 1970s has worked to advance women's equality. Harper sent former Minister of Status of Women, Bev Oda, to give us the good news. The government has also denied Status of Women funding to groups who do research on the conditions experienced by Canadian women. Also, Canada's new Status of Women will no longer fund advocacy on behalf of women's equality. Which makes us wonder, how could we have come such a long way without research and advocacy about the issues that matter? The government has closed most of the regional offices in its restructured Status of Women Canada. It claims it is streamlining operations so women can receive funding for direct services in their communities. There's just one catch. Most women's groups in Canada will not be able to get this funding because they advocate for women.
Congratulations! You're equal now!
One of the first acts of the newly elected Harper government was to cancel signed federal and provincial agreements towards a universal childcare program for Canada. This in a time when 70% of women with children under the age of 5 are working. Instead of a quality childcare program and more spaces, the government is giving parents with kids under 6 a monthly handout of $100. Minus taxes, of course. The Harper government refuses to listen to the task force that made the recommendation back in 2004 to have federal proactive pay equity legislation. In the 21st century, Canadian women still make only 71 cents for every dollar a man earns. Our current system of complaints-based legislation to achieve pay equity isn't working. Women have to spend decades in the courts fighting for what's fair. Some women have even passed on while their decades-long pay equity challenge worked its way through the system. The Court Challenges program was designed to provide access to justice for ordinary Canadians to defend their language and equality rights. The Harper government has eliminated this program. It is estimated that the average cost of a court challenge is $250,000.
No money, no justice.
Governments have the resources to be able to fight these cases, but in a democracy, ordinary Canadians should be able to hold their governments accountable for violating constitutional rights.
No money, no justice.
Across Canada, women have organized to fight these attacks on our equality and our human rights. We will not be pushed backwards. The impact of the Harper government cuts and changes will be felt for years. However, many women's groups and organizations across Canada have united for women's equality. We are strong, we are organized, and together we will prevail.
No!
Does Canada's new government think it will get a majority from us in the next election after what it's done to women with a minority? What do you do with somebody who's just not that into you? Think about it for the upcoming election. Together we can make sure that women's voices are heard. Together we can put equality back on track.